Malaysia is set to take global spotlight by the end of 2024. Government to implement GST only if minimum income threshold is met. Good evening and Salam Malaysia Madani. You're watching Malaysia Tonight and my name is Daryl Baptist. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim says Malaysia is set to capture the world's attention by the end of this year and into next year, thereby unlocking significant economic opportunities for the entire nation.
Saya minta kerjasama, saudara, ya, kerana ini tumpuan kita apa? Ya, diplomasi, orang hormat negara kita, Malaysia harum, tetapi utamanya ekonomi. Utamanya apa? Perdagangan, pelaburan, perniagaan, peluang bagi rakyat Malaysia, peluang bagi syarikat Malaysia dan peluang bagi rakyat Malaysia. Sebab itu saya tekankan hal ini kerana kejayaan ini bukan kejayaan kerajaan semata-mata jemaah menteri, tetapi juga dengan penjawat awam, ya, dan sektor swasta.
He highlighted that many international conferences will be held in Malaysia starting from the end of this year, involving delegations from various countries, which will further stimulate the national economy. He added that Malaysia is set to host many major ASEAN meetings with nations such as the United States, China, South Korea, Japan, Europe, India, Australia and New Zealand. One such major event is the first ever ASEAN GCC plus China Summit, involving ASEAN countries, 6 Gulf nations, Bahrain, Oman, Kuwait, Qatar, Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, and China, set to be held in May next year. Adding to that, the Premier said Malaysia has good relations with other countries and allows their ships to dock here, except those from Israel. He said the arrival of 2 naval ships from China at the Penang port recently is not an issue that should be blown out of proportion.
Kita ada joint military operations on a small scale dalam kawasan kita. Dengan Amerika Syarikat, dengan India, dengan China, dengan Singapura, dengan Indonesia. Ya. Dengan India. Jadi semua, apa dia masalah dia? Bagi saya tak ada masalah. Hal ini telah berlaku sejak lama. Malah, kalau kerajaan dulu yang bersama PAS dan Bersatu, itu kapal terbang Israel pun boleh lalu kita. Kapal Israel Zim pun boleh masuk pelabuhan. Tapi tak jadi isu. Sekarang jadi isu.
Datuk Seri Anwar said allegations by certain parties that the arrival of the naval ships was as if they were ready to attack and take over the country should not have happened. The Premier further noted that the country also wants to clarify its good relations with other countries, where if their ships want to dock at the country's ports, it is allowed without any compromises. Now, the visit of military ships from China to Penang port is a common occurrence. Foreign Minister Datuk Seri Muhammad Hassan explained that warships from countries such as Australia, the United Kingdom, France, Japan or China docking at Malaysian ports was normal in the context of bilateral or multilateral diplomatic relations. The minister was responding to criticism for allowing training ships Qi Ji Guang and Jinggang Shan from Zhangjiang, China, to dock in Malaysia, calling it insensitive due to the ongoing conflict over the South China Sea. The minister said that China has been the country's largest #1 trading partner for 15 years. The Rumbau MP said the visit of a delegation from the country to a school in the state was also made through official applications to the relevant ministries. Penang Tourism and Creative Economy Committee Chairman Wong Hon Wai was recently reported as urging the public not to speculate on the visit of 2 military ships from China, along with students from the Naval University of China to Penang Port last Saturday. His Majesty Sultan Ibrahim, King of Malaysia, arrived in Bandar Seri Begawan today to begin a 3-day state visit to Brunei. The special aircraft carrying His Majesty and Her Majesty, Raja Zarith Sofia, Queen of Malaysia, landed at Brunei International Airport at 11:25 a.m. and they were accorded a red carpet welcome. Their Majesties were greeted by the Crown Prince of Brunei, Pengiran Muda Mahkota Al-Mutadi Billah Sultan Hassan Al-Bolkiah, and his wife, Pengiran Anak Isteri Pengiran Anak Sarah. Accompanying the King on this visit are Malaysian Minister of Higher Education, Datuk Seri Dr. Zamri Abdul Kadir, Ministry of Foreign Affairs Secretary General, Datuk Seri Amran Muhammad Zin, along with senior officials from Istana Negara, ministries and related agencies. His Majesty then inspected a static guard of honour mounted by members of the Royal Guard Regiment of the Royal Brunei Armed Forces before proceeding to the hotel in Bandar Seri Begawan, where their Majesties will be staying. This is His Majesty's inaugural state visit to Brunei since ascending the throne on 31st January and comes at the invitation of Sultan Hassan Al-Bolkiah. This visit, which coincides with the 40th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between Malaysia and Brunei Darussalam, is seen as a significant opportunity to further strengthen the close and special relationship between the two nations, underpinned by shared Malay Sultanate heritage, religion, culture and family ties. Moving on to other news, the global shift towards a sustainable energy future is accelerating, fueled by innovative technologies. In Malaysia, the National Energy Transition Roadmap, or NETR, serves as a guiding document outlining a comprehensive strategy with plans and initiatives to navigate the country's journey towards a greener future. One of the key components outlined in the document is modernization of grid through decentralization of the power grid, offering substantial advantages for both utility companies and consumers. Geoff Childs, General Manager for Asia at Gentract, says a two-way power grid system coupled with smart meter technology will empower users to become more conscious of their electricity consumption.
What our technology is able to do is then be able to furnish TMB with the ability to give their customers apps, and then we can give them real-time data, and it can help drive and change consumer behaviour. So what you can then see is how much energy you've used this morning, how much energy do you think you're going to be using over the next week, how can you be more efficient with your energy usage. At the service level, they get all the information, they get all the data, they can understand their bills, they can understand how their bills are calculated, they can understand what they're paying for, and they can also ultimately reduce their cost of energy to individual homes and businesses across Asia.
He shared his insights with RTM at Enlit Asia 2024, a regional energy conference held at MITAC in Kuala Lumpur. The event brings together industry leaders, key stakeholders and experts for 3 days of discussions and collaboration. Chinese Premier Li Qiang and Laos Prime Minister Sonasai Sifadon attended the inauguration ceremony of the China-aided Mahasot General Hospital building, pledging to reap more fruits in the building of the China-Laos community with a shared future. Li extended warm congratulations on the successful completion of the Mahasot General Hospital building, noting that the hospital is the largest in scale, most comprehensive in functions, best equipped with modern facilities, and a key medical teaching base in Laos. He said the two countries have continued to strengthen the synergy of development strategies, deepening practical cooperation, and work hard to complete a number of important infrastructure projects, injecting strong impetus into the economic construction and improvement of people's livelihoods in both countries. For his part, Sonasai said that the hospital is a significant livelihood project, with its foundation stone jointly laid by the top leaders of the two parties and countries. It has played an important role in improving medical conditions and safeguarding the health of Lao people, becoming a landmark project of Lao-Chinese traditional friendship and cooperation. Engagement process for the 2025 budget reaches its final phase. That and more coming up in our business segment. The government will only implement the Goods and Services Tax, or commonly known as GST, if the minimum income threshold is at 3,000 to 4,000 ringgit. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said the implementation of GST must be taking account the poor and marginalised group that should not be burdened by the tax.
Give some time. Push the economy forward, because you implement GST now means you get everybody to pay. I mean, this is my political philosophy, my conscience. Is it efficient? Yes. Is it transparent? Yes. Will the government get more revenue? Yes. But who are you taxing? Everyone. The rich? Yes. The poor? Yes. I can't. So what is my view? I said, look, give some time. Give a few years. Make sure that the threshold, the level of income increases. 3,000, 4,000 ringgit minimum. Then we can gradually adjust this policy.
Currently, the minimum monthly wage in Malaysia is 1,500 ringgit. Datuk Seri Anwar, who is also the Finance Minister, said the GST implementation has been an ongoing issue for decades, even during his time as Finance Minister in the 90s. He disagreed at that time, believing that addressing corruption involving billions of ringgit should be a priority. Transport Minister and DAP Secretary-General Anthony Lok dismissed reports that the government is considering reintroducing inheritance tax, labelling it a mere rumour and criticising party colleagues for believing it. Commenting further, the minister stated that the tax was never discussed in cabinet meetings.
It's just an assumption by some analysts. Not everything mentioned by analysts are truth, or will be considered, or will be implemented. The point that I'm trying to make is that my advice to the members of the public, especially our own members, DAP members, is not to believe in all assumptions. So always fact-check certain things before they make any conclusion or make any comments to it.
The rumour, which suggested that next year's federal budget might include a levy on inheritances, originated from a local media, citing an analyst who claimed it could be one of 5 new taxes the government plans to implement to raise revenue and reduce the fiscal deficit. Moving back to news about Budget 2025, the engagement process for the 2025 budget is entering its final phase, with the speech set to be announced soon. Therefore, the Secretary-General of Treasury, Datuk Johan Mahmud Merakan, said that they have gathered feedback from every state. The aim is to ensure that the views of various parties, industries and the public are considered in the 2025 budget.
Yang Amat Berhormat Perdana Menteri Kewangan akan bentangkan belanjawan 2025 pada hari Jumaat ni 18 hari bulan Oktober. Pada peringkat ni Yang Berhormat Perdana Menteri sendiri dan juga Yang Berhormat Menteri Kewangan dan juga pelbagai Yang Berhormat Menteri telah melaksanakan pelbagai libat urus dengan pihak berkepentingan. Sekarang pihak kami dalam proses memuktamadkan ucapan dan juga langkah belanjawan yang akan diumumkan kelak.
Datuk Seri Anwar said Budget 2025 will be a continuation of the government's efforts to ensure that Malaysia achieves the visions of the Madani economy. He said the budget will introduce more structural economic reforms to ensure that the rapid economic growth can be shared equitably with the broader population. Themed Madani Economy, Prosperous Nation, Well-being of the People. Budget 2025 is the third budget by the Madani government under Datuk Seri Anwar's leadership. On another note, more job and education opportunities are among the main hopes of the youth ahead of the 2025 budget presentation on 18th October. The focus is on ensuring the well-being and development of youth efficiently and inclusively as a cornerstone of the nation's development. According to idealist Kebangsaan President Khairul Muzamil Ishak, young people need support to face the challenges of living costs and career potentials. This is important to nurture dynamic and competitive citizens who can shape the country's future.
Ini merupakan satu kumpulan yang sangat berperanan dalam negara kita. Kalau dulu kita nampak golongan belia ni tak pentinglah, dia ikut je apa kita cakap. Tapi sumbangan mereka kepada bukan saja kepada negara tetapi kepada politik. Kita kena lihat sumbangan mereka kepada politik, sumbangan mereka dalam industri pekerjaan, daripada segi pendidikan sangat meluas.
He was met by reporters after the filming of Selamat Pagi Malaysia program at Angkasa Puri today. RHB Banking Group, meanwhile, has expressed optimism about Budget 2025, expecting it to deliver well-balanced strategic initiatives that address both immediate economic needs and lay a strong foundation for future growth. Its acting group chief economist Barnabas Gan noted key priorities such as investment in critical infrastructure projects, particularly those in transportation, utilities and digital infrastructure, which are vital for enhancing regional connectivity and stimulating economic activity across various sectors. Gan also expressed hope for targeted measures supporting undeserved communities, especially micro, small and medium enterprises or MSMEs, and small and medium enterprises, SMEs, which play an important role in the supply and value chains. On sustainability, Gan noted the banking industry is optimistic about greater support for green financing and sustainable initiatives, aligning with the Madani Economy Framework and the National Energy Transition Roadmap, or NETR. Gan also suggested more targeted relief measures for individuals and businesses facing financial difficulties amid rising living costs. Additionally, he highlighted the importance of promoting financial literacy and affordable financing solutions to help consumers manage inflationary pressures while fostering prudent financial habits. Non-tech startups need tax incentives to attract more strategic investors, especially in high-impact sectors. According to the president of the Small and Medium Enterprises Association of Malaysia, or SMENTA, Datuk William Ng, these incentives are crucial because startups are still struggling to gain better access to capital due to the limited liquidity in the local stock market. Dato' Ng said this step can help startups attract investors, especially in high-potential sectors like tourism.
Bagi syarikat pemula bukan teknologi dan yang pada peringkat awal. Walaupun terdapat syarikat modal teroka termasuk dana milik kerajaan, persaingan untuk mendapatkan modal tersebut cukup sengit. Oleh itu, kami berharap kerajaan dapat mempertimbangkan untuk membenarkan insentif cukai untuk pelabur malaikat ataupun angel investor bagi syarikat pemula bukan teknologi. Ini termasuk dalam industri berimpak tinggi seperti pelancongan, industri kreatif, pertanian pintar dan mungkin biomas.
He also proposed an investment initiative to support newly listed companies with moderate investments that can make a big impact. This move can help support the valuation of startup companies and provide essential market liquidity to attract early investors as well as venture investors. Let's now take a look at the Malaysian ringgit, which is expected to trade sideways against the US dollar next week due to concerns about China's economy and geopolitical tensions ahead of Budget 2025. Bank Muamalat's chief economist, Dr. Muhammad Afzal Nizam Abdul Rashid, noted that the budget presentation by Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim next Friday will be crucial, and he expects the government to commit to reducing the budget gap below 4% in 2025, which may positively impact credit ratings and the ringgit. Stephen Inez, Managing Director of SPI Asset Management, mentioned that external factors, including global risk sentiment and tensions in the West Asia, will influence the ringgit's performance. If China announces a stimulus package to boost consumption, it could benefit the ringgit. However, ongoing geopolitical issues led to a preference for the US dollar. The ringgit weakened against the dollar over the past week, closing at 4.2865 over 2910, compared to 4.2155 over 2240 a week earlier. It also declined against the euro, Japanese yen and British pound, as well as most ASEAN currencies, including the Singapore dollar and Thai baht. The local currency dropped to 275.1 over 275.5 against the Indonesian rupiah, while remaining stable against the Philippine peso. Another market expected to trade sideways is the local rubber market, with a downward bias next week influenced by the escalating Red Sea crisis and the European Commission's or EC's proposal for a year-long delay of the EU Deforestation Regulation or EUDR. Industry expert Dennis Lowe said that the escalating Red Sea crisis is slowing down rubber stocking and replenishment activities and putting pressure on global trade. On the EC's proposal to delay the EUDR, he said buying activities will be confined to stock replenishment on a steady basis. He also said traders need to be cautious as the uncanny weather in rubber-producing regions can hamper rubber production. Another dealer said market operators will continue to monitor updates on the United States and China economies, especially cues on interest rate cuts, Chinese stimulus implementation, EUDR developments, and the West Asia geopolitical conflict. The Malaysian Rubber Glove Manufacturers Association said the rubber market outlook for next week appears to be positive, with the market remaining upbeat. On a Friday-to-Friday basis, the Malaysian Rubber Boards, or MRB, reference price for standard Malaysian Rubber 20, SMR 20, went down by 19.5 sen to 851 sen per kilogram from 870.5 sen per kg last week. Latex in bulk rose by 12 sen to 748.5 sen per kg from 736.5 sen per kg. Moving on, the crude palm oil or CPO futures contract on Bursa Malaysia derivatives is expected to trade with a positive bias next week on the back of strong export performance. Palm oil trader David Ng said the expectation of stronger exports in the coming weeks is likely to result in lower overall stocks in the country, which would be beneficial for prices. He said Malaysian palm oil export estimates for October, expected to be released by Cargo Surveyors, Intertech Testing Services and AMSPAC, would be among the focuses next week. Meanwhile, Interban Group of Companies senior palm oil trader Jim Teh said the CPO market would see profit-taking next week, with prices ranging from 3,800 ringgit to 3,900 ringgit a tonne after the Malaysian Palm Oil Boards, or MPOB, latest data release, which reported a higher stock level in the country in September. For the trading week just ended, CPO futures were mostly lower due to MPOB's data, as well as the influence of declining crude oil and soybean oil prices. On Thursday, MPOB said palm oil exports in September 2024 edged up 0.93% to 1.54 million tonnes from 1.53 million tonnes in August 2024, while total palm oil stocks climbed 6.93% to 2.01 million tonnes from 1.88 million tonnes in the preceding month. Bursa Malaysia, on the other hand, is expected to trade cautiously within the 1,630 to 1,650 range next week, ahead of the Budget 2025 presentation on 18th October. According to analyst Stephen Innes from SBI Asset Management, market attention will be on the budget, anticipated to attract foreign direct investments and support local equities. Inez believes that a growth-oriented budget could result in a bullish market trend, especially with favourable allocations for key sectors. However, he highlighted three risks that may dampen optimism: stronger US economic data affecting expectations on Federal Reserve rate cuts, disappointing Chinese stimulus measures impacting the region, and a potentially underwhelming Malaysian budget. Last week, Bursa Malaysia performed mixed, with the FBM KLCI rising slightly by 3.58 points to 1,633.55. Other indices showed positive gains, while the industrial products and services, energy and financial services indices declined. Market turnover decreased to 14.17 billion units, valued at 12.87 billion ringgit, with a drop in main market volume and a reduction in warrant turnover, although the ACE market saw an increase in both volume and value. Coming up, judicial independence must prevail. Stay tuned. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim says the independence of the judiciary must remain paramount in upholding and administering justice without fear or favour, while the rule of law must prevail.
While the rule of law must prevail, the independence of the judiciary must also remain paramount in upholding the administration of justice without fear or favour. However, the lessons of history must not be forgotten. In the past, we have seen how this sacrosanct principle has been violated by the powers that be, working hand in glove with the highest judicial office, perverting the cause of justice in order to serve nefarious and vile political ends. But let me firmly declare that enough is enough. That era is over and gone, and that we will never allow such abuse and violations ever to happen again.
The Premier said judicial and legal reform must reflect the nation's progress as it advances with changing times for development. He emphasised that legal frameworks must evolve to address unprecedented advancements in technology. The Prime Minister highlighted that in a world that has evolved rapidly, the legal profession plays a critical role in working closely with policymakers and stakeholders to design frameworks that encourage innovation while safeguarding justice and equity. 3 individuals among those arrested for alleged link to GISB Holdings Sendirian Berhad, or GISBH, last month were charged in the Sessions Court here today for human trafficking and physical sexual assault. Mahmad Hamal Tukiman, 57, Rabiatul Adawiyah Muhammad Shah, 31, and Muhammad Ansarullah Tukino, 20, pleaded not guilty to the charges against them that were read out before Judge Haidar Faridzal Abu Hassan. Mahmad Hamal and Rabiatul Adawiyah are charged with 4 counts under Section 12 of the Anti-Trafficking in Persons and Anti-Smuggling of Migrants Act 2007, with trafficking 3 women and a man aged between 30 to 57 years for labour exploitation. They face imprisonment of not more than 15 years or a fine of not more than 250,000 ringgit, or both if found guilty. That concludes this evening's Malaysia Tonight. In our top story, Malaysia is set to take global spotlight by the end of 2024. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. I'm Darryl Baptist. Thank you for watching and have a pleasant evening. Good night.